Now this is a favor, I think you ought to know this. You might as well grab a rattlesnake and give him a kiss if you push me too far. But if you push me too far, well, I've been nice enough, but I'm gonna get rough if you push me too far.
Hello! I am doing a tutorial today that is based on the makeup I was wearing in last week's video. It was strongly requested that I do that makeup, and I figured now would be a good time because I haven't really gotten into that series yet, and so this will be a good opportunity for me to show you the makeup that I'll be wearing in that series for the most part. And it's a makeup that looks good on all ages, in photography especially. I think it's a little bit strong for every day, but if you're confident enough to wear that, then by all means do. Whether it's flash photo or lighted photography or daylight photography, it looks pretty good, I've noticed, in all photography, so that's why I thought I'd go ahead and do this tutorial. I debated with myself because makeup tutorials are not my forte. It's not the thing that I feel the most confident with. I don't feel like my setup is ideal for makeup. I feel like there are going to be tons of other pinup makeup tutorials that you can use instead. So instead of doing the very professional voiceover type thing that I always personally gravitate towards in a makeup tutorial, I decided to just kind of make this like playing with makeup with girlfriends. So it's going to be very chatty. It's probably going to be a bit long. I might have to divide it into a few sections. You're going to have to excuse my nails. I went to see the movie Gravity the other night and completely like chewed my nail polish off. It was so good. Okay, so that's why my nails look like crap. So I do need to redo my nails, and you'll notice them in this video. So I thought I needed to mention that. But anyway, just to get started, what we're going to do is I've prepped my face by doing just a moisturizer. I always put on a SPF moisturizer even when I am in the inside all day. I always wear my SPF moisturizer. So I've had my moisturizer on, so my skin has nothing but moisturizer on it right now, and it's pretty obvious. I also have prepped my lips with my Carmex lip balm. I really love this lip balm. And so I always put that on at the very beginning, and then I usually kind of blot it and wipe it off a little bit right before I apply my red lipstick. I've noticed that this keeps my lips from feeling really dry when I put on a highly pigmented lip color. And I'm also going to use this lip primer. This is the Senna lip primer, but you can use whatever lip primer you like. I think MAC has a really great one. And this is just especially for ladies who might be developing a few fine lines around the mouth. It's going to be a really, really great way for you to keep your lipstick from bleeding throughout the day. So now that we've got everything nice and prepped, I'm going to go ahead and start with foundation. First, what I'm going to do is take my Spackle Under Makeup Primer. This is a Laura Geller product. I really like it. There are other really great drugstore primers that you can get now. It used to be that primers were something that you could only get in high-end brands, but even drugstore makeup brands are now offering primer. So what it does is basically just prep your skin for foundation, and especially if you've got dry skin or fine lines, you'll notice that it also helps really kind of close off the pores and make your skin a foundation apply more evenly. So I'm going to apply this with my fingers. You can use a brush if you want to. And then what I'm going to do is take my foundation. This is the Revlon Color Stay Whipped Foundation. I'm using all the same products I used in the makeup look from last week, so hopefully this will turn out the same. It probably won't. But this is the Revlon Color Stay Whipped Cream Makeup. It's wonderful and it provides really good high coverage. I usually apply it using a flat-topped brush from Sigma. This is the Flat Top Synthetic Kabuki. It's the F80 brush from Sigma. I really love it. It's kind of starting to shed a little bit. I've had it for so long and I use it so often. And I'm going to dot it all over my skin, including my forehead. And then I'm going to buff it in using the brush. And you want to pay close attention to getting around the eyes, on the eyelids. This is a foundation that responds really well to that. It won't dry that area out. And it also will prevent you from having to use as much concealer, which, as you know, concealer is prone to crease, especially on maturing skin. You want to make sure you blend it really well around your hairline. And then I usually take my finger and just kind of go around these areas that I feel like the brush might be a little too large to get into. Okay, so now that you want to make sure when you're doing pinup makeup that you're going for a flawless finish as opposed to a glowy or sheer finish. So in this case, you're going to want that flawless coverage, and so you're going to want complete coverage. And for dry skin, you just want to make sure you're not overdoing it. My color in the Revlon Color State is the color Buff. Okay, then I'm going to take my Cover FX concealer. This is a super high coverage concealer. Kind of similar almost to Derma Blend, but this is Cover FX. What I do is I take a blending brush. This one is by Pirouette, and it needs to be like a stiff kind of short bristled blending brush, not one that's like really soft. And you don't want one that's like really soft and fluffy. You want one that's more stiff. And you're going to kind of take it and swirl it around in the concealer, and then you're going to dot it around the eyes or anywhere else that you feel you need coverage. And then you're just going to blend it in with your brush. And I kind of blend it onto my eyelid, but not like really concentrating it on the eyelid. I just kind of take it around the edges of my eye and then just kind of blend it towards the center of the lid. And I don't know if you can see, there's quite a difference. This is a really good concealer, and I haven't noticed that it's especially, it creases especially badly. One thing I will say though is this is for photography purposes or short periods of time. If you're going to be wearing this for a long period of time on a super hot day, or if you're wanting to wear this makeup for a really long event, I would never, if you're maturing, if you're in your 30s, late 30s, I would never recommend putting concealer here. The only reason I'm doing that for the purpose of this demonstration is because, like I said, this is for photographic purposes. What's going to happen if you've got fine lines here at the outer edge of your eye and you put it in if you put a lot of concealer here, then over the course of time as you emote and all of that, it's going to start to settle in these little creases. So if you were actually going to wear this for a long period of time, I would definitely recommend just concentrating on the darkest portions, like here at this inner eye. But this works really good for that. So we've got our foundation done, and now I'm just going to powder it. I'm using True Match powder, and I'm going to list all of these products on my blog, so make sure you check out the blog entry below. And I just put a little bit of powder here to give it that very matte appearance. Now, powder is something I typically only put right here and right here on my everyday, for every day. I do not tend to wear it on my forehead because I have these lines on my forehead. I don't want it to settle. So that's just something to consider again if you're going to be wearing it for a long period of time. Okay, so face is completely flawless now, pretty much. Never completely flawless. Okay, so then what I'm going to do is we're going to move on to eyebrows. I like to do my eyebrows before I do anything else. I feel like it kind of gives me a frame of reference. So what I'm going to do for something like this, I like to go for a stronger brow. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to outline the shape that I'm going to be doing for my eyebrows here using a brow pen by Anastasia. This is a very light brown color. It's a brow tint. And I use this to just kind of form the shape that I want my brows to be. So I'm going to start. 1940s and 50s brow, of course, had a pretty defined arch. So I'm going to take it first and go under. And in this case, I take it just a little outside of my natural hairline here. I'm going to square off the inner corner. And this is just to make sure that upon first glance that I've got a pretty balanced eyebrow shape on both sides. The eyebrows and the eyelashes are the single most important features of this makeup look. Well, the lips too, but mainly the eyebrows and the eyelashes. So you want to make sure that this is the part you spend the most time on. Then we're going to move on to filling in the eyebrows. And the eyebrow pencil that I'm using is a little darker than I would use for every day. This is called Taupe, and it is by Besame. And it comes as a dual end pencil. This side is gray for black hair. It's really awesome. I really like this eyebrow pencil, but unfortunately it's developing a smell, which shows me that it is past the date. It doesn't need to be really used anymore, but for the purpose of this tutorial, we will use it. And you just kind of want to finely draw in those brow hairs. Just as an initial idea of what you want the brow to look like. Just use short sketching motions. And taupe is generally a really good idea for blondes who like that pinup look because it's a little darker than your natural hair color, but it's not so dark that it's going to look garish. This is the shape that we're going to go for. And now I'm going to take this brow pencil by Milani, the Easy Brow eye pencil. This is actually my everyday eyebrow pencil that I use, but I love this little spoolie on the end. I'm going to take that and just very lightly, because I don't want to wipe off the brow pencil, take that very lightly and go over it so I can get an even better idea of how the arch is going to appear. From there, I'm going to move on to my my eyeshadow that I use to fill in my eyebrows. And what I'm using today is this kind of short angled brush here. This one is by Pirouette. It's a short but broad angled brush, the Pirouette number 14. And the eyeshadow that I'm using is very, very similar to Omega by MAC. It is this very pale brown color here. It looks like it couldn't possibly work for eyebrows, but it works beautifully for eyebrows because you don't want your eyebrows to be harsh ever. So I'm going to take that and apply it with this angled stiff brush just to the inner eyebrow. And what that's doing is it's cooling, it's not only setting the pencil, but it's cooling down the color and making it a little more in keeping with, I feel like, the beige undertones of my hair. For the purpose of this makeup, you want to make sure you do that with the brow powder or the eyeshadow until you have until you have absolutely no more space showing through. Okay, and the next thing we're going to do, I have the Maybelline Color Tattoo in the color Toughest Taupe, and this is what I use to do the tail end of my brow. So I'm going to take an even smaller angled brush here, but anyway, I'm going to apply that just to this, and then make sure you wipe off the excess because this stuff is pretty pigmented. You wouldn't expect it, but it is very dark. And I'm just going to start here at the top of the arch and pull it down. And then to finish off the brows are important, y'all. It's going to take a while. There's a few steps. I'm going to take this brow set, which is basically just a clear mascara, and it's waterproof. And I'm going to gently brush it over. Don't dig in with it at all. You just barely brush it over. And then I take, and then I move on to the next step, which is concealer.
Well, I've a nice